Namaskar. Welcome to Prakash on Basics. I'm Prakash Zo. We were discussing Maharshi Patanjali's Yoga Sutra, the great treatise. I talked of the first two chapters of Yoga Sutra last time. Um, Briefly, let me just remind you what they contain. In the first chapter, there are 51 sutras. It's known as the Samadhi Path. Uh, there are many concepts that are explained. Some of these are the definition of what yoga is, control of mental and uh, other fluctuations, uh, which is chitta vritti nirodha, abhyas, that is systematic practice and study, uh, vairagya, which is detachment, and then samadhi, and then its various types and how to achieve them. All that is in the first chapter. In the 55 sutras of the second Samadhi Pada, there is information about Kriya Yoga, Tapa, Swadhyaya, Ishwara Pranidhana, and the five causes of grief, and the first five limbs of the Ashtanga Yoga. Those have been covered there. Last time I have dealt with all this. Today I'll move into the next two Pada. Pad, of course, means the chapter. Vibhuti Pad is the third chapter. This has again 55 sutras. Uh, Vibhutis are paranormal powers, divine manifestations. These are achieved by a yogi, a practitioner of yoga, after crossing a certain threshold. Vibhutis are also siddhis, and such an achiever yogi is known as a siddha or a siddha purush, the one who has achieved. The actual word vi and bhuti put together in Sanskrit originally has a meaning associated with the concept to appear or to manifest. Uh, Vibhuti and Siddhi, which have similar meaning, are therefore associated with the concept of appearance of these paranormal or supernatural powers in an individual. Uh, the chapter first begins with discussing a concept called Sanyam, which has three parts. Dharana is concentrating one's mind, lock it on to an object or an objective. If this concentration is unflinching, undistracted, totally engrossed, then it is known as dhyana. Uh, and if this concentration achieves a state of totality, we have the third possibility. Uh, Actually, dhyata is the one who concentrates, and dhyaya is the object on which this concentration is focused. When the concentrator dhyata and the mode of dhyana becomes secondary, and dhyaya, the object or the objective, is the only thing that remains in your thoughts, in your focus, that state is known as samadhi, a state of total concentration on only one concept. Nothing else matters. Dharana, dhyan, and samadhi, uh, if they complement each other, reinforce each other, then that is what Sanyam is, according to Maharshi Patanjali. Later on, everywhere, he doesn't talk of the first three. He only talks of Sanyam. And this Sanyam can be, or this concentration can be made effective on a number of objectives or objects. Mm, It it results into achieving, as I said, siddhis or powers. These include um, certain things like knowing the past and the future, other thoughts, somebody else's thoughts, language of animals, birds, ashtasiddhis. Ashtasiddhis are the ones that are talked of in Hanuman Chalisa and so forth. Um, how can you know all this? Some of these seem to be totally improbable. But just think, if I know everything about a tree, then I know its past and future also, and what its present state is. If I look at a tree, I can know that it has been planted, it has come from this particular type of a seed, and I know that this is the type of fruits that it will bear. For us, this seems very natural. But if I start doing that for humans or other objects, then it seems to be beyond normal. It is this state that has to be finally achieved. Uh, Sanyam can be focused on different objects, and that decides the type of the siddhis that are achieved. A majority of sutras in this chapter deal specifically from 23 to 41, but some of the earlier ones also tell us about the interrelationship between the object and the siddhi that is achieved. Uh, Sanyam in Maitra, that is friendship, in happiness, in compassion, in neglecting bad things in others, increases a person's individual strength, mental and physical. And obviously, this itself is one of the great achievements that every one of us must strive for. Strive for. And Sanyam in Nabhi Chakra, that is our navel. Uh, this in the navel spiral, as it is known, it gives total knowledge of our body. This is known as Kaya Viewer. Kaya is body. Viewer is the net arrangement that has taken place. Um, Sanyam in Kantakoop, that is our throat cavity, gives control on thirst and hunger. Uh, the seven body fluids I talked of long back, rasa, rakta, mas, snayu, asti, majja, virya, uh, and our constitutions, kapha, pitta, and vata. All these are controlled if you can control your own body to some extent. Mm. Sayam in one of the five pranas, the samana type of prana, gives control of our digestive system, jatharagni as it is known, and it increases our luster and the way we look and are seen and perceived by others. Um, Sanyam in the moon gives Tara Vyuha Jnana, knowledge of celestial objects. And then there are many more that he also talks of. He also talks of the Ashtasiddhis that can be achieved. These, uh, for those who have read the Hanuman Chalisa or recite the Hanuman Chalisa, it says that Hanumanji gives you Ashtasiddhi, now Nidhi ke data. That's what is talked of in his context. These include anima, the ability to shrink, and laghima, to grow, and mahima, and garima, and prapti, and prakamya, and vashitva. All these ashtasiddhis can also be achieved through yogic practices. And the next chapter, that is the fourth one. It's Kaivalya Pad. It has 34 sutras. Uh, the sutras deal with Kaivalya, the final goal of yoga. Patanjali ji says that siddhis are like milestones on the path of Kaivalya. Getting siddhis or achieving these properties is an indicator that you are on the right track. In the first sutra itself of this chapter, uh, Patanjali mentions that there are many different ways by which siddhis can be achieved. In fact, he identifies five different types. Some of them are from, some siddhis are achieved from birth, some by the accumulated good deeds from previous birth, which is known as Purva Sanchit Karma Phala. Some can be achieved by imbibing medicines or chemicals. Uh, some by the recitation of mantras. Uh, some by performing tapa or personal efforts. Actually, the word tapa relates to, the word tapa means heat, subjecting oneself to extremes and developing certain abilities in oneself. Um, develop Going through tensions, extremes of heat and cold and thirst and hunger and success and loss and strains and insults. All this makes your mind and body uh, sustain many problems and develops inner abilities and qualities within one. It strengthens the body and the mind. Uh, Many times in Indian mythological stories and others, and there is a reference to the Rakshasas uh, performing Ugra Tapa and achieving boons. That possibly is something of this type that Maharshi Patanjali has mentioned. Uh, but uh, Maharshi also warns that siddhis are not the goal. They are only pointers, they are only milestones. They only indicate that your efforts are on the right path. They are only incidental benefits on the path. That's what we can say. Um, don't get trapped in them. Break free of them and go beyond to the Kaivalya state, is what the great Maharshi says. He also covers the concept of karma bhed in this chapter. Uh, the distinctions between different types of karmas. He specifies them as Krushna karma, dark actions, bad and harmful to others, like arson and looting and destroying others' properties and things like that. Uh, then he talks of Shukla karma, fair actions, uh, donating food, building rest houses, building wells, uh, making starting off schools, etc. Then he talks of Mishra, Krishna, Shukla type of karmas. That is mixed nature, where it's not very clear as to whether uh, it's a good deed or a bad deed. But in the long run, it could be very good. For example, if I just make a statement that his hand was chopped off, it looks bad. But if I say that it was amputated because rest of his body had to be saved, then the whole thing makes a big difference. So that's how things are. If you look at Mahabharat, there are so many examples. Um, if you put somebody in front and strike him from behind this person in front of you, that seems to be bad. But then the great Bhishma was fighting from the wrong side, and so he had to be eliminated. And so Shikhandi had to be placed in front of in front of Arjun, and had to be uh, used as a shield. Or, for that matter, when uh, Yudhishthir talks of Narova Kunjarova related to Ashwatthama, he says, "I don't." He says, "Ashwatthama is dead," and he very softly says, "Maybe it's an elephant or the Guru Bandhu," and that was an indirect lie, but it was essential because Guru Drona had to be eliminated. Otherwise, Mahabharata wouldn't have gone to the right track. And so there are things like this, Krishna and Shukla simultaneously, mixed in nature. A yogi must actually perform uh, a Krishna and a Shukla karmas. That means without good and bad realization. Karmas without expectations. Nishkama karma, without consideration of good and bad, is what is expected. Uh, if you look at the whole history of what Lord Krishna did, this is the type of behavior that he had. There was an objective, there were some things that were to be destroyed, there were some things that were to be uh, preserved, and this is a part of the cycle. So it had to be done, it had to be gone through, and that's what Lord Krishna does and performs in his whole avatar, as many of you all are aware of. Mm. Uh, Maharshi Patanjali also explains one more term. He talks of Viveka Khyati. Vivek is the ability to discriminate between good and bad, right and wrong, truth and falsehood, dharma and adharma. And uh, the fruits of the actions based on these decisions, according to Vivek done by you, is what is known as Viveka Khyati. This Viveka Khyati has to be achieved by every individual. Uh, if you do that, and if you have been performing all these activities and achieving particular levels, you become or reach a state of being a yogi. Uh, all such behavior makes a person free from klesh, that is sorrows, and karma phala, the outcome of actions. Klesh, the ones that I had mentioned, we had talked of avidya, asmita, rag, dvesh, abhinivesh, and so forth. I'll go into details maybe sometime later. And so when you achieve all this, what do you finally get? Uh, Purusha and its 23 components of Prakriti together form the universe. Patanjali, of course, and Yoga Sutra refers to the 24th category of Ishvara also. Uh, uh, and uh, the realization that they are not one but distinct is what Viveka Jnana is. And once this has been achieved, when you talk of it as either Purusha or your own Atma, then the Atman or the Sakshi, the visualizer inside you, we talked of this long back, uh, he is actually supposed to be Gunatita, beyond the gunas or attributes of Sattva, Raja, and Tam, all the shades of behavior patterns. Uh, but avidya, that is improper knowledge, makes an individual feel that he is engrossed and entangled in all this. That is avidya, improper knowledge. And that makes him subject to sorrow, that is dukkha. Breaking free of this and getting detached from this sorrow by total realization is the crux of everything. Uh, Reaching this state of enlightenment by true knowledge, by true self realization, is what Kaivalya is. To break free of these mental bonds, to break free of these physical bonds, remind yourself that you are only a Sakshi, a visualizer, and only an Atman. That concept of being alone, an individual, away from everything associated with Prakriti, is the one that is known as Keval. Keval is only one, and that realization of oneself, oneness by the Purusha or your Atman or yourself, being detached from everything else, that knowledge is Kaivalya. So, this is what uh, ultimately Maharshi Patanjali says you must achieve. You must not be involved or engrossed in anything else. You must learn to be detached from everything. You must look at it as a cycle that takes place everywhere and every time. It's a part and parcel of what is happening around you. This then is the crux of what knowledge is in this great Yoga Sutra. It's only what I have talked of is only the tip of the iceberg. The sutras, 195 of them, each one of them you can talk of for days together. And that knowledge is the one that you have to learn and achieve through practice and understanding. This is a treatise on mental, moral, ethical, physical, social perfection, not only of an individual, but through it of the whole society in general. It is all through Anushasan, that is the discipline that one must follow, which is mentioned in the first sutra of this treatise. Understanding the first step, putting it into practice is the second step. Chitta Vritti Nirodh through Kriya Yoga and Ashtanga Yoga are the next two steps. I'll be going into these as we proceed in our next lectures. If you have liked whatever I have said, please like and subscribe to this channel. This knowledge is not meant only for an individual. So it is your responsibility as much as mine to pass on this knowledge to somebody else. If one lamp is lit, it is our responsibility to light all the others that are around, to remove the darkness of ignorance that is around. So please pass on and share this knowledge. Try and gain more knowledge. I'll be coming back to first Chitta Vritti Nirodh and then Ashtanga Yoga after this. Till we meet for that, Prakash Zog says Namaskar.